What up, y'all? It's your boy O Man, aka O the Dread, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're gonna do something a little different and talk about a certain individual who you may or may not have seen popping up on various media platforms, usually spewing some kind of hateful rhetoric, trash perspective, or brain-dead flat earth theory. Ultimately, he's a vile, bitter, unintelligent man-child and former hip-hop legend who's fallen from grace in some of the most embarrassing ways, which we'll explore here in this video. Lorenzo DeCalis, better known as Lord Jamar, born September 17, 1968 in the Bronx, New York City, and raised in New Rochelle, he's a rapper, DJ, record producer, actor, podcaster, and social commentator. Lord Jamar is a founding member of the iconic hip-hop trio Brand Nubian, formed in 1989, which is comprised of him, Sadat X, and Grand Puba. Their debut album, One for All, was released in 1990, followed by Everything is Everything in 1994, and Foundation in 1998, solidifying his place in the fabric of hip-hop culture. He's also credited for discovering the group Dead Prez, getting them signed to Loud Records in 1996. Lord Jamar released his debut solo project titled The 5% Album in 2006, dedicated to the nation of gods and earths, a group that I will likely cover on this channel. Let me know in the comments section if that's something you'd like to hear me talk about. Lorenzo went on to pursue an acting career, most known for his role as Supreme Allah on the HBO series Oz, not to be confused with Fat Joe, aka Crack Him the Great God Allah, mostly known for capping. He's also appeared on Law & Order Special Victims Unit, Third Watch, and The Sopranos. These days, when he's not co-hosting the Guyana the Mean Godcast podcast with rapper Rod Digger, Lorenzo E. Charlatano, Emperor of Dumb, can be found spewing the biggest L-takes, insanely stupid theories, and adding absolutely nothing of value to the minds of the people he's managed to convince that he's smart. Let's take a look at some of the disgusting garbage his foul pie hole has oozed over the years. In 2013, Lame Jamar released a diss track titled Lift Up Your Skirt, aimed at Ye, who at the time still went by the name Kanye West, stating that gay has no place in hip-hop, while taking shots at Ye on social media when he reposted a photo of a male model wearing a colorful skirt with the caption, "Have a F-bomb." He went on to blame Ye for being the one who he felt was trailblazing this new fashion trend, likely referring to the leather Givenchy skirt he wore during a 2012 Hurricane Sandy benefit concert. Accusing white and gay artists of hijacking hip-hop, he states that hip-hop started with alpha males and is now being given to, quote, beta males to flex their shit, claiming that there are, quote, certain guidelines and boundaries to preserve hip-hop culture. Then, in a feeble-minded attempt at profundity regarding these imaginary boundaries, he poses the question, how much water can you add to the whiskey before you no longer get drunk? It's no surprise that with such an old wino analogy that even when he's perceivably sober, he still sounds like a slurring, belligerent, drunken buffoon. Jamar's homophobic rhetoric sparked a response from openly gay rapper Leaf, calling Lord Jamar ignorant if he believes being gay is the same as being white, also stating, "I'm a black man and I experience all the same racism you do, if not more," on top of homophobia, including from black men just like you. Continuing his hate speech tour, during an interview later in 2013 on Vlad TV, Lorenzo makes an insane claim that white rappers are guests in hip-hop and doubles down by saying, "Keep it real with yourselves. You know this is a black man's thing. We started this our shit." He went on to take shots at rapper Macklemore's Same Love for its pro-LGBT message. Eminem clapped back at Jamar in a 2018 track titled Fall on his Kamikaze album, to which Lord Jamar responded by saying, "Eminem wearing a Will Smith mask was kinda like wearing blackface." But Uncle Lorenzo Ruckus doesn't limit his bigotry to gays and white people. No. Lord Jamar makes it clear that his hatred and disgusting views extend to women as well, when in 2019 on the Rapmatic web series he said, "I don't fuck with female rappers," making reference to his inability to relate to their lyrical subject matter and conflating it with themes of sucker shit and white people themes. While he did give praise to Rod Digger and Lauryn Hill, he doubled down stating he prefers, quote, militant, gangster, and sometimes misogynistic music, believing masculinity is the foreground of hip-hop music while the feminine side is left to R&B. I'm sure by now you're starting to realize what a douche this guy is. His co-host Rod Digger publicly dismissed Jamar's comments, stating, "The second to last thing I care about, the last thing being anybody's opinion on anything, is Lord Jamar's opinion of female rappers, and that their co-hosting was a, quote, win-win for her because, quote, she got to cuss him out and smoke the highest grades marijuana." Lord Jamar also publicly denounced the BLM movement, saying, "It's not our movement," claiming that most of the people who were looting were paid white agitators and that BLM was given to us by, quote, George Soros and his fucking boys because they saw how things were going and did not want it to go back to the 60s. Not convinced that he's an idiot yet? I'll continue. In an appearance with Rizza Islam, he promoted Holocaust denial, claiming that at most 500,000 Jews died and that 6 million Jews were not even present in Europe at the time.
Ladies and gentlemen, gods and earths, welcome my brother Rizza Islam.
Peace.
That no one would ever
sit here and say to a Jewish person, forget the Holocaust, but you tell me to forget slavery all the damn time.
First of all, if we really want to say something controversial, you want me to bring it?
Go ahead.
Bring it right now?
Come on.
Check the records. You ready for this? There wasn't even 6 million Jews in Europe at that time.
See, when you start doing the math, and that's something I researched as well.
There was about 500,000 over there in Germany and Europe. There was no 6 million.
So not only is Lorenzo a misogynistic, racist, homophobic piece of shit, you can add promotes anti-Semitic conspiracy theories to the list as well. In his relentless quest to soil his hip-hop legacy, Jamar also made himself known for having the most ridiculous and disconnected takes on hip-hop Goliath Biggie Smalls, often seen arguing that Biggie's lyrics were, quote, out of pocket, especially with all the, quote, shit with Puff. His go-to references being paraphrased out of context sections of lyrics from songs like Me and My Bitch, Just Playing, and What's Beef. Feel free to tap into those yourself and hear the lyrics in full context. He even went as far as to say that there was a transgender actress in Biggie's Big Papa and Warning music videos, as well as Craig Mack's Flavor in Your Ear remix, sparking massive backlash from fans for the Biggie slander. In a following interview, Jamar decides to turn his venomous hatred towards former Vice President Kamala Harris, sparking outrage by referring to her as a bitch and suggesting she wasn't even qualified to work at Dunkin' Donuts during an appearance on the Art of Dialogue podcast. Mark Lamont Hill also confronted him on Piers Morgan Uncensored. Eventually, Lord Jamar issued an apology publicly, stating, "As a man, I'm going to admit when I was wrong and that I did cross the line." He said his comments were, quote, cringeworthy, and promised not to speak on women disrespectfully in the future. He went on to acknowledge she is Madam Vice President whether we like it or not, and that's how she should be addressed. Now, while this may look like a little bit of redeeming quality for old Lorenzo, stay tuned, and we'll get to how Jamar stands on his word. On August 30th, 2024, this cornball claimed that breakdancing is not a pillar of hip-hop, and has, quote, faded out during an interview on the Bigger Picture podcast. He suggested that breakdancing is only attached to hip-hop to try to include Puerto Ricans, following up with, "Black people make dances every other effing week. What the F are we holding on to breakdancing for?" and claiming that African Americans are tricked into liking Afro beats, which he says sounds like bootleg reggae. He faced backlash again, this time not only from fans, but also DJ Rob Swift, who responded accusing Lord Jamar of truth decay and spreading untruthful stories and narratives. Jamar also supported Donald Trump's 2024 presidential campaign. Now, remember when I said we would get into Lorenzo not being a man of his word? Let's talk about his fallout/fall-in with Vlad TV and how he turned his back on his comedian podcaster friend Godfrey. Lord Jamar and Godfrey boycotted Vlad TV for 5 years, starting in 2020, because DJ Vlad misquoted Minister Louis Farrakhan regarding comments made on Jewish people and refused to apologize. He felt that he and Vlad had a personal friendship and that he was an advisor to Vlad, to whom his advice had been helpful in the past. The boycott was an attempt to squeeze play Vlad and pressure him to apologize, and their final conversation involved Jamar talking strong about Vlad needing to apologize, which Vlad may have perceived as bullying. Jamar saw Vlad's unwillingness to apologize to him as being willing to sacrifice his association and friendship with him and Godfrey. Louis Farrakhan is a highly regarded figure in the Black community, making Vlad's misrepresentation a significant issue. Fast forward to 2025, 5 years after their fallout, Lame Jamar and DJ Vlad reunite for a lengthy interview on Vlad TV. Jamar justified reconnecting with Vlad after Vlad apologized for his past actions, publicly stating, "My obligation is to bring civilized to the uncivilized, and that he needs to go where uncivilized people are at," whatever the fuck that means. Feeling a sense of accomplishment due to Vlad apologizing, he went on to bitch and moan some more about how,
"But guess what? As a grown man, I have the right to change my mind. Once certain information, more information comes into play about certain things that I'm not going to get into the full specifics of, but I have more clarity on the situation as a whole."
Something he's obviously selective about, as you'll see when we get into his flat earth debacle with Professor Dave Explains on Godfrey's podcast. Speaking of Godfrey, he was rightfully shocked when he saw Lord Jamar go against his word and return to Vlad TV. He criticized Jamar for his flim-flam behavior, questioning his integrity and pointing out that many people did support the boycott by no longer appearing on Vlad TV. This was in response to a comment made by Jamar while justifying his lack of a backbone, where he claimed that no one supported the boycott anyway, comparing Vlad's 6.1 million subscribers to his own 174,000.
People were still going up to Vlad. People were still watching his videos. You know, the man got 6.1 million subscribers on YouTube. I have 174,000.
a true dick measuring contest that only insecure betas like Jamar like to engage in. Godfrey doubled down on his stance regarding Vlad and called Jamar's appearance on Vlad TV sad, saying he looked like a hostage victim while Vlad was clowning him. Lord Jamar was subsequently torched in the comments and on Instagram for his decision. Okay, so far we've covered his homophobia, misogyny, anti-Semitism, attention-seeking commentary on hip-hop legends that will always be remembered and held in higher regard than he ever has or ever will be, and his lack of integrity. Let's further wade through the shallow depths of this lunatic's mind and talk about his run-in with science communicator and YouTube creator Professor Dave Explains, who intellectually manhandled Lord Jamar's painfully stupid flat earth talking points, effectively making him look like a complete laughingstock to even his own peers. In October of 2024, Lord Jamar expressed his belief in a flat earth on a video podcast. He did so by regurgitating many of the same brain-dead, scientifically inept talking points that most other flat earthers do. He says stupid things like, "It's ridiculous to think that someone could live on a ball," or that water could wrap itself around a spinning ball. I won't go into all of his idiotic claims, but I will link the 2 videos of Professor Dave completely destroying Jamar in the description. One of which videos was a reaction to comments Jamar had made on an episode of Godfrey's podcast regarding his reasoning for not accepting that the earth is a globe, which led to Professor Dave being invited to Godfrey's podcast by his co-host Dante to discuss their differences. The debate was a disaster, described as hilarious yet sad. Professor Dave claimed that he tore Lord Jamar a new orifice and that Jamar was mocked so relentlessly that he had to deactivate comments on multiple platforms, and I have to say, he's not lying. Lame Jamar accused Godfrey's show, implied to be Dante, of being an ex-pimp who got a bitch to do his dirty work, referring to Professor Dave. In a follow-up interview with another flat earther, David Weiss, who has also been extensively ridiculed by several debunkers, including Professor Dave, Jamar required $20 to read any comments during the live, and had a 3-hour-long public coping session with Weiss and Shah Hibbler. This, quote, support group for idiot flat earthers, as Dave would describe it, consisted of Jamar and friends coping and seething in a pitiful attempt to salvage their dignity. So as you can see, Lord Jamar, aka Lorenzo Il Charlatano, a notable hip-hop veteran turned internet clout-chasing charlatan, has done a well enough job of showing everyone exactly how trash he is. And as much as I would love to provide you with a litany of linguistic lashings for our man of the hour, instead, I'll leave you with the word from the man who made Jamar his intellectual bitch, Professor Dave. He beautifully describes Jamar as a toxic, willfully ignorant, narcissistic, belligerent asshole with the cognitive ability and intellectual capacity of an average 5th grader who is unbelievably insecure and fragile. Thank you to Professor Dave Explains for inspiring this video and for all the work that you do. There's been a lot of videos of Lord Jamar getting dunked on, and as much as I wanted to join the party, I thought it would be cool if I kind of gave people a one-stop shop video to get caught up on why this bozo might be popping up and why it's usually referring to his abhorrent behavior. So if you want more long-form content like this, or you want me to start doing some debunks of my own, let me know in the comments. What do you think about Lord Jamar going back on his word and revisiting Vlad TV? I'm interested in what y'all got to say. So drop a comment, like, and subscribe, and most importantly, be the person you'd like to meet. Peace.